This is Business Talent Success. I'm Danica, here to ignite purpose with Katharina Surtees. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Danica. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast, your first, which is so exciting, and I feel very honoured to be your very first guest.
Thank you. It's very exciting. So let's talk a little bit about your background. You are a voiceover artist here in Perth, but you're internationally known. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, how you got there?
Now, I think it was always a whisper deep down inside me. As a little girl, I was obsessed with voices, not hearing them in my head, listening to accents, and I was always surrounded by many Europeans and different cultures, which was really nice. And I used to love imitating accents, although now I, kind of stick to the commercial side of voiceover. Before I actually got into voiceover, I ran a modeling agency and I had that for about 9 years. And that kind of gave me the platform to get on a microphone and speak in front of people. And when I left that, my mum actually encouraged me to get into voiceover. So I went to the Academy of Radio, did a broadcasting course where we learnt about voiceover and news reading and writing and copywriting and editing. And the voiceover section was the part that I was really much interested in. I loved it and it was fun. So it kind of started from there.
That's awesome. What was your favorite part about broadcasting?
First time that I was on air was fun. I did enjoy that, and that was in Kalgoorlie at 6kg. And then I went into the network, which was in Bunbury, where it went right through Western Australia. That was pretty cool because I never thought that I would get into it and actually be on air, whereas I started to really get into voiceover. That's where it really took off, was there through announcing and doing my own show. And then I did the Hot 30 Countdown, which was super cool. It was a lot of fun. I got to interview a lot of different people. Yeah, that was a kind of a time for me to sort of explore the creativity of different things. And it's probably where I really developed improv as well. Improv is my absolute strength and I love it. And I think it's really beneficial in voiceover especially when you're in live directed sessions. So that's how that all came together. And yeah, based in Perth, is a little bit tricky, but it wasn't until, studios and our home studios that voiceover artists can work anywhere internationally. So that's how most voiceover artists have that opportunity to work on an international global scale. And I love that about voiceover.
That's awesome. So what was your highlight interview?
Then, gosh, probably a live one, because a lot of them were pre-recorded because of the time difference. But my highlight would have been when Tim Friedman from the Whitlams, he came into the studio, and that was quite overwhelming and exciting at the same time. He had such a presence. And I remember I had my questions all ready, but I just looked at him. And it was just like silent, and the studio was really hot in there. But yeah, that was it. Look, I only had a few years in commercial radio, but I always go back to that as my beginning story because that's where it all began. And it was a wonderful opportunity to explore voiceover. And it's where production was. And I started doing a lot of commercials on a daily basis in there. Most announcers do. We always have a side job. That's where that all began. And I enjoyed being in production. I enjoyed working with a producer and being directed. And in that way, I also learned a lot about self-direction because I started getting the confidence and the freedom working with scripts and all different types of scripts. And I developed my own way of doing things and also listening as well, listening to people and being directed. And now it's just second nature. It's just a thing. It's just within me. And I just love working either self-directed or particularly live-directed sessions.
So where did you start in the industry with commercials?
Commercial voiceover. Well, my very first commercial voiceover, believe it or not, was when I was at the Academy of Radio. I did a local Ford dealer and that was so exciting. It was on racing radio. So I tuned in, I remember 6 o'clock in the morning, and I remember my mum and dad were there and we were listening to it and hearing myself on the radio. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And it wasn't like from an ego thing. It was just that it was cool just to hear yourself on the radio. I love that. And that was my very, very first time. Didn't get paid for it, but it didn't matter. I just loved doing it. And I knew that because I didn't get paid and I was doing this and I wanted to do more of it and I didn't care if I didn't get paid. I just wanted to do it. And that's where I think I always go back to do things that you love. Don't worry about the money. That will come. Do things you love and really work on your craft and it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah, for sure. Following your talents and being in alignment.
Absolute alignment. That is probably one thing that I always share with my kids as well. And other voice actors, like, I get a lot of DMs and, people asking questions, or we just collaborate on different things. And I always say, just go with what feels right. Work out your values, work out what you align yourself to be and where you want to be. And once you do that, you nut out everything and you just cut a whole list off and you find your own little niche and you're aligned with that, find that things will just start flowing. And the world has ways of doing things. And there's so much opportunity for so many different jobs out there and genres out there in voiceover. So yeah, just stick to what you like, explore, but yeah, definitely align yourself.
So we actually met while we were doing a voiceover training session, and I was listening to Katharina in booth, and it was just like, her sound is amazing.
Thank you.
We were on so many adverts as well, and I swear I've heard some in the past.
Yeah. Look, you know what? I feel so blessed meeting you, and now I'm here. Like, this is the beautiful thing about voiceover. You meet so many interesting people, and I love your past with what you do, and and now you're doing this and you're doing voiceover as well. I think this is so cool. You can, with voiceover, it's not just acting. There's so many facets, that you can bring into it, which makes you a better performer. Yeah. So I love the fact that we met in studio, and I really wanted to do that workshop in studio because I don't have that opportunity as much anymore. I mean, after COVID hit, no one was really in studios. So it was an opportunity to meet you in the workshop and get to meet other amazing voice actors and see how we work, and the vibe in there was awesome. So great moment. I highly recommend anyone who's in their home studio all the time to get out, connect with other voice actors and jump on workshops, in studio workshops. They're so much fun.
They're definitely helpful. Can you explain to people what it feels like being in the booth?
I mean, 4 padded walls and just a window. Look, I like it. I love it. Actually, I love it a lot. I love the fact that I have the freedom to have my own schedule. For starters, freedom for me is very important. I do get bored very easily, so I need to mix things up. I do have a schedule, but I do like to, keep things a little bit spicy. But being in the booth is great because it's my little area where I can do and create whatever I want. So, it's a place where sometimes I can spend hours in here. Sometimes I can go from anything from reading a really cool commercial to reading some lawyer's commercial wearing pajamas and a face mask. And they want that late at night because they're overseas and they've asked me to do this. And I'm in my pajamas, got a face mask on. And it's like, well, yeah, my booth is not far and I'm at home. So why not? No one sees you.
So explain what it feels like to be able to do adverts and all of the voiceover stuff in booth. I mean, for me, it's exhilarating. When you come out of the booth, you've got this sense of achievement. I've been in the booth singing and then coming out of the booth to then coming into voiceover as well. It's so amazing that you can do these things with your voice. I never even realized that you could come and do voiceover at all. Like I thought, oh yeah, people get paid to do voices for adverts and things like that. But when you're younger, you don't really think about that as a career option or the fact that it is another acting option either if you're doing acting voices. And to come from that and then go to this and then have the exact same feeling in booth and just being able to express yourself and then coming out the other side with this overwhelming appreciation for everything you do and you just enjoy it so much. Like, is that the same for you?
Absolutely. By the way, I love that you sing. And I always say that singers can bring so much to voiceover and it just gives you extra skills and you know where your voice is. And in voiceover, a lot of the time you can get asked to do all types of jobs. And if you have that versatility where you're able to deepen your voice for something a little bit, for more mature read, or you want to bring your voice right up to do your retail reads, I think you can, with singing, you learn how to scale your voice. And singers do bring a lot to voice acting. I really believe that. I think anything in the performance space really does help, bringing all the goods to voiceover. But yeah, I spoke to a couple of voice actors about that feeling about, after a session. I think in a live directed session, and we all do the same thing. You have your session, and it was so awesome, especially the ones that are the last ones. Like I did one a couple of weeks ago overseas, and it would have been, I finished that one like at 10:30 at night. I had my dinner waiting, and I had a nice glass of wine afterwards, and it was like that satisfaction of, creating a script, creating something, bringing all of your talents, your skills, your coaching, part of you, your experience of what this script is about, bringing all of your experiences into that script is a really good feeling. It's something that I enjoy immensely. And I know what you're saying. You get in there, you're a little bit nervous, which is a good thing, by the way. Nerves are good. Yeah, there's so many different feelings going on, but then once you zone in and you're focused and you get into the zone of your script, and then you're collaborating with a director, a producer, or with your self-directed, that's a different experience. When you actually finish the whole script, it's such a rewarding feeling. And then once it goes to air, sometimes, if you're lucky enough, you hear it. But a lot of the times you can't hear these things. I don't know where they go. Well, I do know, but, I never get a hold of a lot of stuff that I do. And that's just, a lot of voice actors feel the same. It's like, sometimes you have to sign in NDAs and, you can't discuss the project, but sometimes you don't even get any copies of the project as well. So sometimes I go online and I YouTube and I have a look at the jobs that I've done, and I found one like 3 years ago, all of a sudden. And then a client the other day who booked me last year for a commercial hit me up this week and said, look, we want to book you for 2 scripts that we want you to do. And then finally they sent me the last job that I did, and that was cool. Yeah, it's just a crazy world, but a lot of fun.
It's the same thing in acting. A lot of the time you have to chase up what you've done, or, you'll get the credit for it and you'll see your credits on IMDb, but the rest of it, you'll be like, where did that go?
Do you know what, though? That's the good thing about acting, right? You guys get credits.
Yeah.
There is this thing in voiceover that I don't know if you ever see, and there's no credits with voiceover. Every now and again, I got credited 2 weeks ago from advertisement for a podcast, and I was so excited about it. The person that's producing the whole podcast platform had said that I had did the campaign for them and how much they appreciated my voice. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. There's somebody out there saying, you did a great job, because at the end of the day, we are the ones that float that. Of course, you've got the amazing creative directors, the film, everything that goes into it. But the voiceovers, we need to get a little bit of credit. So, hey, any producers out there, don't forget to credit the voice actors. We appreciate it a lot.
It is true. I mean, yeah, even, with any work that we do, we get so excited about a little credit that pops up, but to say that you've been on the film or you've done anything. It's funny they don't have the same thing for voiceover with just credits online to say what commercials or anything that you've been in. So that's very interesting. So what was your pivot point? What was your lowest moment that made you turn to choosing to come into a creative industry?
I've always been creative. I've always needed to be in a creative space. Even like when I left school and I started my modeling agency, then, in between, before I got into radio, gosh, I worked in a cafe, which is now Channel 9's cafe. I didn't even know that then. I've learnt to make some great sandwiches. My family loves my snacks. So I worked in a cafe, learned how to make great coffee, which I still know. And I worked in a gift store. I've worked in, I did jobs like that for a few weeks. And that's because I had this thing inside me that felt, if it ain't making you happy, why do it? And I know I had to do it for money, but I just was always in that way of, I want to be in control of what I'm doing. I want to be in control of how much I'm making. And even if I'm not making anything right now, I know I will. Like I'll take a couple of jobs just so I can get to where I want to go. So that's where I went from, getting out of the modeling industry. And then when my brother passed away, I kind of went into a bit of a deep, dark hole, and I just lost my sense on so many different things, and I lost my understanding about life and, and where we are and where we're going. And it was an awful time, and I needed some time to just, heal and find myself and find out what I want to do. But that was also the moment where I thought, he was only 24 when he passed. I mean, he did some amazing things, and it made me realize that we're here for a short time. So why do something that you're not happy doing? Like work as hard as you can to get to the point where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
If that means coaching, if that means promoting yourself, if that means connecting with other people, do what you can to get to that point. I think a lot of people say that they want to do something and they're like, oh, they're all excited and fired up. And when they start it, it starts here and actually it starts here. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, I actually have to work for that. You might have a great idea, but you need to back it up with work, and you need to back it up with, some mornings where you just don't feel like doing it because it's all too hard. Well, the hard things, when you break through them, are the ones that take you to the places where you want to go. Yeah, so I've just learned a lot of that. I've probably gone off the question, but that's me, creative, and I'm always going off on tangents, and that's why I need to be in a creative space so I can, work creatively. And so from there, I went into Academy of Radio, did voiceover, and then when I met Warren, I was in radio, and then I started doing commercials. I had a city job in Perth to do some mid-dawns that I was going to be doing, but I never ended up doing it. My anxiety got too high. I realized I thought I had anxiety and I didn't want to do radio anymore. But what I actually realized, it wasn't anxiety. I think I just was not aligned. And that goes back to being in alignment. I didn't want to do it. And so then I ended up doing, beauty therapy. I did that for a little while because as a part of my modeling agency, I wanted to do a beauty therapy course so I can teach makeup and skincare and all of that. So a couple of my friends have a salon and I worked there for a little bit until I started, and it was right next to 94.5. So every now and again, I would do some commercials up at the radio station, which was really cool. And then once I had kids, I started dabbling back into radio and voiceover. And then 2017 is where I really made that decision. I love this so much. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm really going to make a go of it. Fortunately, my husband knew some people who wanted a voiceover for commercials. So I started doing a few of those and here I am.
That's awesome. And then you ended up getting a booth shortly after. What was that like?
Wow, that was cool. So I went from my home studio closet, which, look, I know I'm only small. I'm like 5 foot, and I do fit in a closet, but to have...
What that look like?
Yeah, that was nuts because it was great and the soundproofing was really good. But I started moving like my little portable booth all around the house, trying to find a good spot because I like to use my arms. I'm quite animated when I'm voice acting. I use my arms and my body. And then I went downstairs in the cellar and then it echoed too much, but I found some nice bottles of wine. And then 2019, my husband, I didn't even know this, but he wanted to surprise me with my own voiceover booth, which is from Denvox in Spain. So he told me afterwards that, I just want to let you know, it's taken almost about a year, just deciding what he's going to do and then trying to understand the language and then conversing with them. And when we came back from Sydney, when COVID hit, and then we came back to Perth, he goes, surprise, I've just got a phone call. Your booth's going to be delivered tomorrow. I was like, my God, it was like March 2020. My booth hit just as COVID hit. And that was, call it divine intervention, whatever. It came here at the right time. It was the time where I didn't know, but voice actors who had home studios would start getting all the work. If you didn't have a home studio, even just a simple one, no one could go into studios. So I was very fortunate. And it also opened my eye up about working globally on a global scale. And I started understanding casting platforms and I started realizing, wow, you can actually be a voiceover like this on casting platforms. So I did a bit of that for a while. And then I think it was also not only divine intervention, it was also the fact that I did a lot of coaching. I did a lot of workshops. I traveled over East. I did a gaming workshop over there. I've been to the US. I've done a couple of voiceover conferences, and that's been really good just to get some understanding of how the industry works on a global scale. And that was in LA. And so I think a lot of that combined with having my own booth and also advertising that, putting myself on social media, I get a lot of requests from people. And when they see your setup and they know you've got a really good studio and then I've got a really good demo, because that's a very important factor for a voice actor is to have a good demo. then work just started to come in, and it's just been, it's just been a work in progress because I've worked a lot. I've worked really hard, and it's paying off. And I paid back my booth pretty quickly too. After scoring a couple of jobs, I paid my husband back, so that was good. He was really happy.
So has the world changed since COVID with representation and freelance?
I think for me personally, most of my work is freelance work. I get some great jobs I have an agent over in New Zealand, and I've just joined one in the UK, which I'm super excited about. I think it's one of those things. I think a lot of people think when you join an agency, you're going to give them the best demo, the best headshots, and let them do all the work. But it's not. It's about you're a performer, but you're also a business person, and you got to market yourself right. So freelancing is where I do most of my work. I do a lot of emailing out. I have gone from about 7 casting platforms to about 2, I think now, only because I just find that that's kind of changed a little bit too. But then there's actors in LA and, the bigger industry for voiceover and film. And, a lot of the time they have more work by being represented. There's voice actors that I know that just want to be represented and they don't want to do freelance. But I think for me, where I am and the opportunities that I can foresee in the future, freelancing works well for me. I've got a business brain. I know people. I love connecting with people. I love the challenge of working it out. How am I going to get the jobs? And even on the quiet,
the hunt and like the networking.
And about that, Danica, about the networking, also give, if there's jobs that I don't feel I'm suited to, I'll pass those on to other voice actors and they'll do the same to me. And that's the beautiful thing about voice acting. If you're, I don't think I would ever be, just an agent. I don't think agents, I think they know that it's important for voice actors to do freelance because there's a lot of work out there for freelance voice actors. And the more work that you get that way, the more work that you help your agent as well. But the marketing side is really important. You need to market yourself. You need to do the work. You need to do the coaching. You need to keep on top. You need to keep your finger on the advertising pulse. That's very important. And listen to commercials, listen to what's trending, because it's always trending. I hear now that, a lot of the times the voices were very high pitched, but now they're starting to go for the deeper female voices, which, so, that changes and it will change again. So if you're versatile enough, the agents will love that. But if you sort of just stick to one thing, I think you don't have much to offer.
So what's your hardest or not preferred category to do a voiceover in?
I don't think there's anything, but what I do love about voiceover, because everything is interesting. And even though I don't do gaming, would I do gaming? I sometimes think, well, if there's something that floats my boat, I'll do it. I think it when the script comes in, I would look at it and I'd go, yes, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to do it.
I can picture as like one of those warriors on a game.
Like what type of warrior? Like a Russian warrior. I'm going to come and get you. I've got, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day. We were doing accents and he loves my Eastern European accents. So I could be doing my Eastern European accent, which I love very much, I've got to come over and get my sword and stab you with it.
And she's with her acting debut.
I could do that too. Oh my gosh, that would be fun. But look, I do specialize in commercial voiceover. It's something that I just love. I love brands. I love connecting with brands. I love commercials. When everyone in the car is turning the radio down for commercials, I'm like, what? Turn it up. It's a great ad. I know it sounds crazy. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but they're like, oh my gosh, no.
For some reason, neutral is really hard. Doing nothing, no expression, just a general read, not even book reading, just a general read. And it's so hard to just not be expressive. And I think it was the hardest one.
It is for most people. And also coming from a commercial announcery background, I've had to really unlearn what I've learned. So a bit of a Yoda experience there. But yeah, I had to learn how to do the conversational read. And then it's like conversational, but with a little bit of retail, so it's not just conversational. It's also adding a little bit more to it. So a lot of people struggle with conversational. It's one of the biggest challenges, I think, for most people, because we can act, otherwise you wouldn't be doing this. But it takes time and everything takes time. And that's where good coaches come in.
Yeah.
Ones that you enjoy, and you've got to gel with them. Like if you don't gel with them, don't coach with them. It's a waste of your time.
Yeah, there's no point in having a mentor that you don't align with.
I've had an absolutely amazing blessing, and I was asked to be a door builder for the Building Doors campaign. So Christy Haast, who is the founder and creator of Door Builders, has created this campaign on a global scale to make people aware that most of the, the male dominated genres like promo, alcohol, cars, are 76% voiced by men. So I kind of didn't know that, the statistics. I was like, what? That's why I've never got an audition for it, even though, some of the agencies haven't offered that yet. I was wondering why. And it's like, that's why, because it's mostly voiced by men. So I'm really excited to be a part of this campaign and create awareness and also just to make people feel comfortable hearing a female voice doing commercials like that, doing a beer commercial or doing a real rough and tough car commercial. Can't we?
Amazing voice for that as well.
Well, I think that there is this misconception that, a lot of women want to take over men's commercials. We're saying that we want equality. We want to be, if you're going to give him an audition for a promo, give her one as well. And at the end of the day, when they both send their auditions in, if someone's got the right voice or the right delivery, may the best person win that commercial. But I think if people become a little bit more open-minded and creative directors and clients, it sort of all goes down the line, everyone wanting to agree. Once people start getting more comfortable with female voices doing this, I think it will open up so many doors for so many younger voice actors who will want to enter the industry. And the equality of having women in voiceover and in promos and those types of commercials will be incredible to see in the future. And I really believe that will happen slowly but surely.
Was it hard for you to break into the industry being a woman?
No, because of radio. Radio also is a very male-dominated industry, and I was the only female announcer when I was working in both the stations, besides the news department. So yeah, you do get treated a lot differently. I mean, that was back in 1996. That's just how it was. Hopefully things have changed by now. I mean, I haven't been in that industry for so long, but with voiceover, I think I connect with, both male and female voice actors, and I love speaking to both. I kind of don't really think about it.
So that's what I love to hear as well, is that it doesn't matter what gender you are. If you are taking your gift and you're turning it into your career, basically it is the energy and the effort that you put into it. It is not anybody else putting a stop to what you're doing.
That's right. And I honestly feel like, a lot of people go, you doing voiceover? Wow, that's such a competitive industry. Gosh, isn't everything? Isn't everything? And by the way, with the whole competitive thing, I used to get imposter syndrome at the beginning because I was thinking, oh my God, like all of a sudden I'm on these platforms and I'm doing this stuff and I'm, competing for jobs with other people. I don't look at it like that anymore. I do not look at it as competition. I am so in my own lane. I feel I know where I want to go with voice acting. Even when I audition, I do my auditions now and I let it go. I don't even look at it. I keep tabs of the ones that I have done, and especially ones in particular that I've done. But, sometimes I hear somebody else got that commercial and I'm so happy for them. And it's interesting to hear who they chose at the end and how they delivered it. I was telling a voice actor this the other day because they were quite down about, stuff. And I said to them, don't think of it as competition. If you do that, don't be in this industry. Don't. You'll do your head in. What you need to do is go, I'm doing this because I love it. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to market myself the best I can. I wouldn't do this unless I loved it. I believe that if you do something in life, it's got to be, you got to enjoy it. It's got to be joyful.
You is meant for you. And that's the thing. It'll come to you when you're attracting it. You're magnetic. So if you put in your energy into something that you're good at, it's eventually going to come any which way to you.
I actually agree with that because what tends to happen is, let's talk about mindset. I'm such a big believer on mindset. I think if you do get into the mindset of going, oh my God, it's another day of competition. Why do this at all? Like, it's another day of you being able to audition. It's another day of you being able to contact a new client, get in touch with an old client, contact and connect with other voice actors. Find the joy.
We don't have the same voice. And that's the thing, is we're both voiceover actors and there's so many others. None of us have the same sound. And so
not one person does. Yeah.
So there is no competition there because nobody sounds the same. Nobody's going to land the same jobs. Nobody's going to be exactly what they're looking for when it comes to the rehearsal or anything audition wise. So why is everyone in this flap about being equal across the board and having to compete with each other in order to gain interest? Stop it.
I think, depends on where you're at in life. And I'm not talking in your career, but where you're at in life and what experiences you have. I think I've been through a lot. I'm really good now, but I've been through a lot. And I feel that I'm at the point now where I'm just like, just enjoy it. Like I enjoy what I do. If there's weeks, or a week where it's quiet or, something's happened where it just like bang, 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 I just didn't get those jobs. I don't sit in a corner and cry. I just get up to my desk. It might take a couple of days and just start researching things, or I contact a coach, or I send something to another fellow voice actor and say, like, listen to this, what's going on, or just share or vent. That's the best thing. But you can't be in this mindset of, it's competitive, lack of mindset. No, live in abundance. It's more joyful. It's fun, and things will come your way.
Most of it is networking and getting in the right rooms anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And how cool is it now that with technology and Zoom and FaceTime and voice notes that we can converse with people on so many different levels? It's awesome. I love it. I love the fact that we have that. Although we're in a booth and we're at home, we can talk to anyone, and I think it's great.
That's amazing. Does your role feed your soul? Is this your dream job?
Every single day, I love being in here. I love being in the booth, even if I'm, might have had a late night, or it's been a busy week, or it's been a week of not much going on. The mic is where I feel the most comfortable, is being in the booth. I love to play. I love to feel the joy. I love to explore. It absolutely feeds my soul. It's somewhere where I can see myself doing this. I tell everyone, people are going, one day you and I will be traveling the world. I said, yeah, but I'll be bringing my studio equipment with me. I can't see myself stop doing this. I honestly can't. I have too much fun. And as I get older, maybe the jobs won't be there as much, but I'm sure I'll be like super exciting when I'm 80 and sipping a whiskey and a job comes in. Yeah, I can see myself doing this for a long time. We know AI is coming into play, and I think if we learn to, work with it and not be so afraid of it, however that pans out, I'm sure, there will be laws in place as time goes on. I'm very excited, whether it be today, tomorrow, the future, just to keep continuing on my journey. Another thing which has been really cool is the fact, although I don't want to coach, I am doing a course at the Perth Film School, and that's going to be, I think, in August, September. So that's kind of exciting, helping mentoring some voiceovers, some aspiring voice actors for an introduction to voiceover course. So I'm really excited about that for them too.
Awesome.
So it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
So did you find that you lost a lot of contacts on your way to where you are?
Yes, absolutely. I think that as growth happens, your path naturally changes. I've basically had to be quite strict with a lot of my friends who I always saw on a regular basis, especially when the kids were younger. We always used to meet up and, but now my boys are doing stuff, and I think, I have that freedom to choose what I want. But I don't do the coffee catch-ups as much anymore, or I don't do the lunches. It's I'm here pretty much working it as a full-time job. If I want to catch up with friends, it would normally be a dinner or a weekend, or, maybe just a spontaneous catch-up during the week. But at the beginning, it was like, oh my gosh. And I had friends who didn't call me for a while, but now they're back and they're super proud of me, and they're very supportive, and they cheer me on. And I love that. They send me little messages. I heard you the other day, or, oh, I love what you did on Instagram. And, oh, I can't wait to see that podcast. They're very supportive. And I've got a group of good friends. I don't have a huge amount. I know a lot of people, but I keep the ones that are important to me very close. And I think too, that's also the industry. I mean, people say that, with voiceover, it's such a warm, embracing, wonderful industry. Yes, it is, but there's also a lot of toxicity, and there are a lot of people that don't want to see you, and this is reality. I'm being real. And I think what I've noticed when I started to get into voiceover and I started getting on the platforms and whatever else, industry people started going, "Oh, hi, Kat. Where are you from? Blah, blah." And becoming my friends. And then as soon as I started hitting bigger campaigns, I don't hear anything from them anymore.
Crickets.
Yeah. So, but that's okay. It reassures me and confirms in my mind that I'm moving up and I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not worried about them. I see them and I'm so proud of them for how far they've come. But I think it's just everyone's different and everyone processes things a bit differently. So, the people also too who I'm friends with in the industry are the ones that are supportive and the ones that I can just say, look, I want to share something with you. And I know that it will be just between us and they're very supportive. Or questions, or, like I can contact a friend of mine in LA and say, "Oh, can you do a studio test with me? For some reason, something's not happening." Or I'll call my audio engineer, one of them, and ask him. And just ask Robbo, by the way, he's amazing. He helps a lot of people with tech issues and studio setups. And it's always good to have one of those people in your corner. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of, not worrying about all of that. Know who your people are, but most importantly, know who you are, know where you want to go. I have a mission statement that I write every year. I check on it daily. I write my 4 quarters on how I want the year to look, and I focus on that. It's not a big list. I've got about 3 things every quarter, and I just focus on that. And I want to make sure that I stay focused and stay aligned. Again, alignment. And I find that the people who are, very similar to where I want to go, they're great friends and we love cheering each other on. It's nice.
That's amazing. Well, that's all the time we've got today, but I wanted to thank you so much for coming on and chatting to the audience about everything voiceover. And this is your message that you can also do this too, and you're capable of anything.
Thank you so much, Danica. I absolutely love chatting to you, and this has been fun, and I can't wait to see and listen to all your other podcasts, and I wish you all the best with it. Oh, by the way, I wanted to also let you know that it's so amazing to see someone create a podcast about inspiring people, talking about their wins, the highs and lows. We need to hear more of that. We need to hear more of people's amazing stories and uplift people. So I thank you for creating your podcast. And all the best.
I appreciate you coming on and speaking about everything that you do and inspiring people in turn. So thank you. Thanks for joining us on Business Talent Success. If today sparked something in you, remember you can bring your vision to life with our powerful tools and resources. Build the business that you've been dreaming of starting now. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss a moment of inspiration. And be sure to check for our upcoming magazine packed with insights, real stories, and strategies to fuel your success. Until next time, keep showing up, keep creating, and keep igniting your purpose.